Hello, everyone. My name is Wolfman Sam, and this is my partner, Johnny Buffguns.
What's up, everybody?
Welcome to the Creatures of the Night. Yes, we're back. We're back with a vengeance. Sorry, we had a little technical difficulties.
Yeah,
For those of you that missed us, yeah.
we were
Well,
cursed.
yeah, yeah. I mean, to tell you the truth, guys, I'm sure any of you who have done with the podcast could relate.
Oh yeah,
Uh, the just the intricacies or the intricacies. I can't speak today, but the problems you have technology wise is just unbelievable. In terms of
yeah,
trying to get a podcast, something happens, your pop filter goes off, um, you know, uh, and you can't get, your partner to record, either the
right.
audio pops out. Even now, I'm making sure that this is recording. I'm actually looking down. Yes, it is.
Yeah,
We're all
it
good.
says right here recording. Besides, and also the other thing too is it's like anything else. Technology, you love it. Sometimes you hate it when it can piss you off and annoy
Yeah,
you on certain situations.
yeah. Technology is one of those things. You're either super savvy with it, you get it.
Right,
We're not those types of people.
right.
We are boomerific. We're just like,
Yeah.
you do the thing again. It's just not. It's not
It
our
makes
forte, despite
it
us
makes me
being
think.
young guys.
It makes me think about how like growing up when you were a kid or technology was that what it is. Like if you were a kid, if you like somehow did not like either you made a lie to the teacher. My dog ate the homework, but now with online classes, now people take since COVID, it's like we
Right.
I had a tech. The new is like my
Yeah.
that's my the new
My
dog ate my
my
homework.
signal went out.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I've had some rare occasions where it's like. Thankfully, even though I did the homework and stuff, I didn't miss the deadline. But yet somehow, occasionally, Microsoft had like a tech. It's like my professor said, "That's okay. Just hand it in whenever you can when the Microsoft is
Yeah,
fixed."
it's just I mean, in terms of education, digital I never thought would be the way to go, and I
No,
still think it's a bad
no.
idea
Well, at the
because
time when, well, from my experience at the time when COVID was bad, I didn't have much because we couldn't meet in person at the time. It was, I mean, I'll admit, I still miss like in-person classes, but at this point, the heck with it. Just get the degree,
right,
just finish
right,
it. That's how it is.
right.
I'm almost done with school. I might as well just finish what I need to do. But everyone's
Yeah,
different. Do what you got to do. That's
do
my
what you need
advice.
to do
Yeah,
what you need to do and just get it over with
yeah, yeah,
because unless it's like anything. It's like unless you got a plan B, C,
yeah.
D, unless you got it
Well, that
all planned out, schooling can be tough.
oh,
You know?
it can be. Yes, I'm living proof of that. It just people say like, oh, college is a invest.
Right,
The what's that?
right.
But there's always the highs and the lows to that, like anything else in life.
Yeah,
People are
college can be
yeah.
rough.
Oh
That's what I
yeah.
mean is you got to make sure when you go to college, you know what you're going for. Otherwise, you
Yes.
just end up in debt for a
Right.
class that you tried out.
Right.
That's why I didn't go personally. So,
Well, luckily for me, I went to community college because it was close, less cost.
right,
Then I transferred because when you go to community college, you ease your way into it. Then after taking half the courses,
right.
transfer those courses, you're in less crazy debt compared to I went to state college, which is not a bad thing because it's like you live in state, it's less crazy tuition.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things. But to get the meat and potatoes,
Yes. Yes.
what were we talking about before we started this podcast? We went on a whole rant of just we were talking about Rob Zombie for a bit
Yes,
and the
we were
Munsters.
about we were talking about like how like what we thought of the new like Munsters we didn't like
Yeah,
hate it. We just were not like obsessed. We're like in this is a great thing. We're like,
the
it's
Munsters
okay.
remake.
Yeah.
For
One
those of you
second.
that didn't hear.
Yeah. Yeah. Just
But yeah,
killed
we
the
were talking about
bug.
the Munsters and how I thought it was a good love letter. It wasn't
Y-
the best.
Yeah.
It was
No.
not the best.
No.
And I speak
No.
as a Rob Zombie fan. I know people either love or hate him. I like
It's hit
him.
or it like it's. I think his movies are like an acquired taste because of how like, he can go a little bit like over the top at times. So when you look at like Devil's Rejects, which was just, it's weird
I
how like
liked
you
it,
have like,
but
all right, well
yeah,
that's okay, that's okay. It's preference and taste. I totally get it. It was just over the top. Like you have like these crazy psychopathic that you have these crazy psychopathic killers. Like you like it's either you either hate it or dislike, especially out at the end with William Forsythe, how he was like trying to he's like doing the reverse psychology of like torturing them. It's like, wait a minute, we felt bad for
yeah,
him. It's like you don't
yeah.
know. Is that what Rob
Well,
Zombie's going for?
that's the thing is in his movies usually not always, but usually there are no heroes.
Right,
He's a
right.
big villain guy. He
Yeah,
likes villains, which I
yeah.
can appreciate. I like my
I
villains.
mean,
I'm sure.
I can see that because as I've gotten old, it's funny. I always talk whenever me and my friends talk about movies, we talk about how like whether like like the villains, do we like the bad guys or villains more? We think I don't know, the villains are more interesting because it makes you think, three-dimensional.
It
Like
depends.
well, okay,
Yeah,
true.
it
It does
depends
depend.
on how you write them.
True,
You
true.
know, it depends on how you write them.
Well,
Everything
here's
is subjective, and it depends on how you write them. Like people love Freddy Krueger, the original Freddy
yes,
Krueger,
yes, yes.
um, despite him being a horrible person. But I think it's
Oh
really
yeah,
more down to we know that it's fiction. We
yes.
know that this person is fake. Because if this person was a real serial killer, I don't think people would gravitate
Oh
towards.
no,
You'd be
no, I don't think
surprised.
so. Right.
Um,
Well, did you watch the Dahmer show or you've heard about it, the one that came out on
yeah,
Netflix?
you were telling me about it. You were telling
Yes.
me about it. I have not seen the show, but
Right.
I've seen a movie.
Well,
There's a movie called Dahmer.
yes, which I've never I know about. I don't know why there's different like movies of like Dahmer. I really don't have an answer to that question
Yeah,
why there's different
Dahmer,
movie
John Wayne
versions.
Gacy,
Yeah,
all that stuff. And
because
it's listen, it's Hollywood. You know,
yeah,
it's
because
Hollywood.
I'll
They
admit
can make a
it
movie off
was
anything.
it was. I mean, I'll admit there were times where it was uncomfortable. Believe me, I'm human. It was good. It wasn't good because of what you see and what he. It's more about like the point of view of the characters of like how you
Right.
see
It's
like
how it's
his fa-
yeah, how it's made.
his father's point of view, the victims, and Glenda Cleveland, his neighbor, like thinking how never like
Yeah.
would have thought of that and how. And let me tell you though, he was a real sicko, Dahmer. He really it's terrible what he
Yeah,
did to people.
yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer. Well, same thing could be said for John Wayne Gacy.
Oh yeah.
In the movie of Gacy, if any of you
I
want to
did
see
see
it or
I
check it
saw
out.
I saw that
Um,
recently during Christmas, but not on Christmas during Christmas season. Like when I was working on stuff in the house, I had on for background noise, and that was one of the
right,
first Gacy films I saw. And also, the guy who played Gacy was in Pee Wee and Teen Wolf, Mark Holton.
right. But yeah, for those of you who, who want to see Gacy or have heard of John Wayne Gacy, there is a film called Just Gacy, much like the Dahmer film.
Yes.
Um, and it's good. It's a good film. They
Yeah.
put on good performances. I don't know how accurate it is
Yeah.
because it's Hollywood.
Yes.
Take liberties with things.
I
Um,
agree too because even though I know some things about these guys, but I'm not like I don't have all the 100% knowledge on how true it is what they do with fiction and the movies.
right. I do know some interesting facts about John Wayne Gacy. This will probably scare anybody, but it's probably not a big
Well,
surprise. But
well,
I don't know how true this is, but I remember reading something saying that John Wayne Gacy was involved in Chicago politics. He was like a big
I
uh,
heard that too.
influential figure in politics, which I mean, given Chicago's state, isn't really
Yeah,
surprising.
right.
Um, but that's the thing is, if you're curious about actual serial killers, there's a bunch of movies like that. I think
Oh
there's a
yeah.
Charles Manson movie coming out.
Uh,
And going back to Rob Zombie, I know I remember hearing he was kind of thinking about doing a Charles Manson movie.
I
I
could
wouldn't
see
be
that.
surprised if he casted someone like Bill Moseley as Charles Manson
I could
because
I could see that. That would work very well.
Well, because his character in Devil's Rejects is kind of like that on steroids.
Right.
That's really where the Rejects come from. They're kind of the Manson family on steroids,
Right.
you know. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, going back to Rob Zombie, you either love or you hate him. I personally like the guy. I like him personally too. Him and his wife just
As
seem like people.
I'm on the same level as human being. Yes, cool dude. I do enjoy listening to him or watching interviews, but I like his music. His music and the movies. It depends. It's just so much heavy over the
Yeah,
top. It's
I'm
you have to. I find it weird for myself how that I had a hard time sitting through Rob Zombie. Yet I sucked it up for the Dahmer show that I watched. I couldn't tell you how I
well. It all
don't know.
depends on how you make the movie.
I guess so.
Um,
Yeah.
there are certain documentaries like I just saw. I want to say a year ago. For all you music fans out there, I had just seen the Lords of Chaos movie about the black metal band Mayhem. Now,
Right.
I like their music. I like their music. I'm a big black metal guy. Um,
Right.
but in terms of what happened in the movie, which some of it is true,
Right.
um, and you know, and what was fabricated. Basically, what they did personally, like burning down churches, because from
Okay.
Norway, these were young people from Norway, and they wanted
Right.
to be like the most darkest evil band, so they did things, like burn down churches. One of the
Right.
singers took their own lives. I'm giving a bunch of
Right.
spoilers, for
That's
those who haven't seen it. Um,
I haven't heard about it or don't know. I don't even know this story actually to begin with. I never heard of such a story before. I'm learning
well,
something new right now.
yeah, I don't mean to spoil the ones, for those who haven't seen it, but for those that are curious, it's one of those documentaries where, you know how like documentaries are framed where you're kind of meant to root for the hero or be
Yeah.
like, yeah, the fucking man, yeah, that, Queen, whatever. I couldn't root for these guys. I
Right.
couldn't root for these guys. I know some things are fabricated. I know
Right.
some things are exaggerated, but the things I do know that are true, like, when their singer took their own, one of the singers took their own lives, they actually used his body as one of their bootlegs for their album covers.
Right.
Yeah, like just really sick stuff. But when it comes to music, I can listen to it objectively. I don't have
Yeah.
to like the band or personally to like the music, but it kind of
That's
helps.
true. I always feel like there's a lot of people out there who like, even if they're not like the fan of the band, the biggest fan, but they like for that particular song sometimes.
Right, right. And going back again, my final word on Rob Zombie musically, I never really got the thought out, but I kind of feel the same way you feel about the movies as I do his
Right.
music, because his
Right.
music is kind of a catch-22. He has some really good albums, in my opinion,
Yeah.
and some really bad, like not bad, but just kind of their albums.
Right. Gotcha.
But
That's
that's
like
that's my opinion.
that's like how similar it seems to be like a hit or miss with like I don't know if this is a good comparison like Nickelback. It seems like it's either people like that
Right.
band or don't. And
And
me,
again,
I don't
yeah, that's
I don't
actually a good comparison, because
yeah. I
I
mean again
know I know some Nickelback fans.
I don't hate Nickel.
A lot of people hate them.
Yeah.
Myself
I don't
included.
I don't like love or hate. They're okay. I never really had
There,
anything
they're
I
just
don't have any
there.
complaints. Yeah, exactly. They're just there. Like they have some okay songs. Like I remember the first time I heard a Nickelback song was when Man was coming out in 2002, and they did that song "Hero" to promote the movie. I thought, okay,
Right,
this
right.
is
And
an
I
okay
have a
song.
soft spot for that song because that
Same,
reminds me of the
same,
of the
same.
Spider-Man trilogy.
Yes, same. And I also
And
remember, like, as a kid, that like being in the car with my parents. That was always like common to hear their songs on the radio at the time.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And going into what we were talking about also in the podcast, we were also going into basically the irony of Marvel, and how on Marvel and DC, or Marvel specifically,
Right.
how they were putting out probably the best television in the '90s
Yes.
despite going bankrupt. I mean,
Yeah.
I was talking about these underrated Silver Surfer series, the obviously, X-Men the animated series, and the Spider-Man series, as
There were
well as
also there
Hulk
were
series.
also yeah, yes, there was also that and Fantastic Four. I
Right,
remember
yeah,
the whole
Fantastic Four
DVD
is
sets of that.
forgotten.
Yeah,
I have to check it out
that cart
myself, but
it's actually not. I mean, okay, maybe some bit outdated. It's really not as. Let's just say it was better than what we got with the movies. That's for sure.
right,
It,
exactly.
it makes the cartoon look more like a man compared to the 2005 and the Rise of Silver Surfer film.
Right. Though
Yeah.
I kind of have again, I have a soft spot for the first Fantastic Four
Okay, the first one's
live
okay. The
action.
second one,
Yeah,
yeah, I can
I have a
agree.
soft spot for it. It's not perfect, but it's all right.
Well,
You
it's
know,
almost as close. I liked Michael Chiklis as the Thing, especially how they nailed it so well.
right.
Like this is just like it's like the comic book, like Johnny Storm and wait, what was the thing?
Ben Grimm. Well,
Ben Grimm, like being like Abbott and Costello or the Three Stooges, like making fun of each
yeah, and
other.
that's basically the dynamic. Though, if you ever want to have a good laugh, track down the 1960s Fantastic Four series.
Yeah,
It's very much like the
yes,
1960s Spider-Man in that it's just pure camp. It's not
right.
really so bad it's good. It's just 1960s cheesy comic book brought to life.
Yes. I have those 2 on DVD. My dad bought those in, like, around the time when the Spider-Man movies come out, they would, like, get people to buy the animated shows and individuals and the '60s, cartoon.
Right.
But at
Exactly.
that time, it was around maybe, like, 15 to $20, but now buying it today on Amazon, it's, like, over, like, 50 or $60, around that
Right.
range.
Exactly.
Crazy.
Exactly. And it's one of those things, it's just like, you know, I can see a lot of kids being like, "This is so bad." I'm like, "Really?
Yeah.
This is
Well,
just
again,
the 60s comic
that was
book?"
the
Bro. It's like
yeah.
when people make fun of the Adam West Batman.
Yeah.
It's like,
I
I'm
fit in
so
that
sorry, but
category.
that was at the time, that was the most accurate comic book accurate Batman.
That's what my dad
Because
tells
it was
me.
during a Silver Age.
My
So, like, to
my
pick
dad
on that.
my dad told me they originally wanted to do a serious Batman, but because at the time it was the Vietnam War, nobody wanted a serious Batman like show or movie at that time.
Right, right. But
That's why
yeah,
they went the campy route instead of doing a serious Batman show at that
yeah,
time.
more lighthearted.
Yeah.
I see that making sense. Um, you said you wanted to talk about the basically Batman animated series some other time. We'll
Yeah,
touch
so
on.
well, I guess we'll touch on it just briefly about how like it's very sad the recent of well, okay, it's only been a few months, but still Conroy's
Yeah,
passing.
with
That real
Kevin Conroy.
that really like got to me. I was like sad because I'm like, no, because I really
Yeah.
wanted to like out of all Batman actors, that's the one I wanted to meet at a convention.
Right. For those of you that don't know, Kevin Conroy passed away of cancer.
May he rest in peace.
May he rest in peace. I mean, one of the like every time I read a comic book that I hear
Oh
for
yeah,
Mark Hamill for Joker, but it will always be Kevin Conroy for
yeah, and because
that era of Batman.
and
I
because of
don't
that,
know. I don't know for the video games who they're getting to replace
I
him.
don't know.
I hear rumors that they're gonna like AI his voice in. It's not
No,
gonna be good,
it's not
folks.
gonna work. It's not
It's
gonna be the
not gonna be
same.
good.
I know Mark Hamill. Well, it makes sense because I look at it this way. Hamill had a good run with Joker, and because
Right.
anytime it's similar how if like again here's another analogy like Abbott and Costello when they like parted ways, it wasn't the same when they went solo.
Right. Right. And I mean, Conroy himself, a very underappreciated live action actor.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
was a stage actor,
he
and
was.
there is a comic book floating around. I don't know if any of you know it. I forget the name of it. I think it's just called How I Became Batman or When I Became Batman, something like that.
Right, right,
A comic about his personal life, and
right.
his personal life you can basically make into a movie. I mean, it's just full of
You never know.
tragedy and overcoming the odds. And basically, the man was made to be
He
Batman.
was
Basically, lived Batman's life without the costume.
Yeah, he was Batman. And he's like as a kid. the first time I ever saw the cartoon as a little boy when I was getting into Batman, the moment I heard that voice and was watching the show, I'm
Yeah,
like, this is Batman. I'm like, I
yeah, of
used to think,
course.
as a kid, you don't understand the difference between reality and and make believe, but to this day, I still have that inside me thinking this guy is my Batman still, no matter
Yeah,
what. Life.
yeah. A lot of us, I'm sure a lot of us probably got into a lot of comic books through television. I
Oh yeah,
personally,
same,
before I ever
same.
picked up a comic book, I had I was watching the Spider-Man animated series, on VHS. I'm
Right.
dating myself here, but yeah, I was watching the Spider-Man animated series on VHS. I was watching the Batman animated series when it briefly came to Cartoon Network.
Same. Actually,
Um,
and since wait,
and
let me share
early
this.
mornings I catch the X-Men animated series.
Right.
And
It's
that was basically, oh shit, what happened?
Oh no, no, we're sharing the screen. You're good. You're good. You're
Oh,
good.
okay. Yeah, because I'm
I
looking on my
show
end right
this.
now. I'm
You're
like,
no,
what?
you're good. You're good. You're good. VHS. Wait, Batman animated series VHS. I thought since we're on this topic, let's show the audience. Let's admit it. We had this as kids. Here we go. Admit it. You had this when you were a kid.
Oh, hang on.
Can you see?
I can't see.
Weird. Huh.
Hold on.
So
Trying
let
to.
me search. Maybe.
Oh,
Can you see now?
switch screen. No, not really.
Uh,
Uh,
'Cause you saw that thing I have the photo of Olivia Hussey.
no,
Which
I didn't see it, but
uh, well, let me just try it again.
hang on. Hang on, folks. It's
Technical.
just,
Well, if I don't show it, you know what? Then all right. The point is, we had the VHS tapes of all the either Batman or Robin, and then the villains, and each episode was dedicated to that villain. But the one thing that surprised me, the Mister Freeze cover, why was Heart of that
our
episode?
device.
It
Yeah.
wasn't in that I don't know whether it could have been a rights issue problem or something. I don't know. And
I don't know.
because
That's my personal favorite.
yeah,
One of my favorites.
they put
And again, when we get into Batman, we'll talk about
yeah.
our
You're right.
like
You're right.
top
Right.
10. You
Right.
know, I mean, listen, those first three seasons alone are great, and even the new adventures. Despite animation wise, I miss the old
Same.
Batman animated series animation.
The sto-
Animation wise, it took a hit. But besides that, I mean, it
the
had
sto- the
some
story
underrated
the
stories.
stories were good, but just the style of it was not the same from the original. That
Yeah,
was
yeah. And I'm
as
sure when we talk about Batman, we'll get into Batman Beyond. I'm
yes.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, by the way, because I'm kind of mixed. There are things I like about it, but for those who haven't seen the ending, go watch Batman Beyond, and then, especially,
Well, as a well, like I grew up watching that show. It was very good, but very interesting and different than what I was used to with Batman. How
right,
like
right.
it made you think like, okay, Batman is like older now. He's getting
Yeah, and he's got a protege, and it worked for a while.
yeah,
Um,
and he just feels like that because of his health conditions, he can't do it like he used to. Because we see how Batman is having some kind of like bad heart condition, and it's making it
yeah,
worse to try and fight.
he's
And
old. Yeah,
I remember as a kid like watching the first episode where after saving this model's life from crime from I don't know like what they were some kind of gang or something that kidnapped her. He's in his back cave and he's like thinking what he's come to his senses realizing what that's it, it's the end, I'm done. And he goes never
right,
again. He shuts the back cave and realizes this is all in the past. Now it's time to move forward in my life. Now I'm just waiting to like grow old and die. That's what he's waiting for.
right.
Yeah. And then he meets
And
this and you have like this young kid. It basically was like a little bit of Spider-Man in a way because he mentors a young kid to take over his job as Batman.
right, and at first, again, spoilers, guys. For those of you who haven't seen
Spoiler alert, as
20,
Deadpool would say.
20-year-old, series, go see it, go buy it.
Yes, I
Go
own it
watch
on
it.
DVD.
But, spoilers. So our protege, Terry McGinnis, actually steals the suit.
Yes.
He's like he's not a bad kid. He's a troubled kid.
Yeah.
And that's what I liked about him. And very organically, they worked him in, and it worked. And I also liked the voice of Terry McGinnis, the guy who played on Team Possible. Yeah.
Will Friedel or something like that. I'm not sure
Yeah.
I'm saying his name
And
right.
I was always hopeful if they were ever going to go on with the Arkham series that we were going to get Arkham Future with Terry McGinnis, and we were going to get
I actually would like to see that maybe.
we're actually going to get a Terry McGinnis game where it plays Terry McGinnis, And I know the comic books, they changed the Batman Beyond comic books, and they made was it Tim Drake be a time traveling?
I don't. I've actually never read like any of the out.
Kind of skimming through it, and I was like, I'm not really for this.
Right.
Batman Beyond has its problems, and we'll get into that when we talk about Batman.
Right.
That'll be a whole different podcast.
I admit
that'll be the same podcast, but a whole different issue.
I admit I only known about the comic books outside the show. I've never read a comic of Batman Beyond, honestly.
Right. And it had some really cool ideas. I always liked the future aesthetic. Ironically enough, the animation style worked better.
Well,
for the future.
It's funny. I feel like it's somewhat. We're still a long way of not knowing what the year 2000. I think it takes place in 2039 or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, something like that. I don't really remember the year exactly, but we're still a long way of not knowing what those years are going to be like for the next decade or two.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things. It's like you don't know.
Like for instance, like the teenage side characters who are very minor. They're like, "Hey, check out this new swim edition, Sway." Like, are we really gonna talk like that?
Yeah.
Is that just?
Or here's another. Yeah. Here's another. Not to interrupt again, but here's another like future type series that really underrated, and I think honestly Batman Beyond took a lot of inspiration from it. You can find it on YouTube, guys. Phantom 2049 or 2040 or something like that. Yeah, check it out. It's a good series, but it deals with a lot of the same stuff, and it's really good. Check it out. It's free on YouTube. Phantom 2040. It's called. But to go on, John.
As I was saying, yeah, like the way because no one can predict the future. No one's gonna know how we're gonna dress up in the future that way, or who knows what's gonna be popular in that decade or that time of culture.
Yeah, and I personally think that it's not even really gonna be like future like how we see it, like it's all future, and it's just gonna be like maybe not that different from today. We'll have a couple new things.
Yeah.
But it will be like I'm under the belief that our future will be just the same as today, except with a couple new gadgets.
Yeah, Yeah, I can see that too.
So it's not really. We're not really going to progress. Where we want to be, and I think that's a good thing.
If you even though we're not going to talk about too much, but there was an episode I remember where splicers, like they were like turned into like, think of it this way, it was like the island of Dr. Moreau, where a guy named Cuvier creates like this I forget what some kind of formula where like you're injected, you're basically like half man and half human.
Right.
I hope that does. I don't know. Even I wouldn't want to get into.
No,
like
I hope that sounds weird. I hope we don't. Yeah, personally, I think, and this is my personal fear. I think honestly, the next trend, so to speak, is going to be like augmentations, cyber augmentations.
Yeah.
And they're probably going to implement them as like, it's like fashion, like piercings and tattoos. Yeah. You can have Bluetooth in your brain, but then you kind of run into the whole thing of, okay, now a part of your body belongs to Google or
Yeah,
whoever.
really. Yeah,
And
that's
you
a
got to sign a
scary
contract,
thought.
to license yourself out. You're basically a company product. And
Right.
that's a good idea for a science fiction. I
I could
kind of
see that.
myself, I kind of the idea was kind of fumbling around in my head. Yeah, I know a lot of things like Cyberpunk and Blade Runner have kind of already done that, but
Yeah.
I wanted to explore the moral implications and really kind of do it in a realistic light where, yeah, I could see society kind of implementing it in that way if they're not already, you
Right.
know? In because it's not going to be implemented in a way where it's like, oh yeah, you can, like, by force. No, it's going to be implemented into society like a fashion. And
Right.
if you're not with it, you're either against it or you're technophobe, or they'll make it that way.
Well, let's just say we know the Unabomber would not go for sure.
Yeah.
Ted Klaczynski, the Unabomber, he definitely would not go in that direction.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like I can see you can make a whole idea on this, and like that the country would be divided because because people think it's racist, that people are against the augmentations morally, and really Deus Ex kind of touched upon that, but
Right.
it all depends on your spin.
Well,
Listen,
well,
nothing's
nothing's ever 100%.
yeah,
Like
nothing's
my dad says,
ever
it takes years. It
my
takes
my point
years and
is
years.
My point is nothing in terms of an idea. If you're planning on making, an idea, an original idea, nothing truly is original. It's all about your spin and the
Right.
spin you have on it.
Yeah.
Create your
Pretty
own
much.
spin.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that's why I'm kind of proud that a lot of independent filmmakers are coming out of the woodwork, and a lot of independent creators are coming out of the woodwork, because we're discovering that it's not really about politics or social issues. People just want something to entertain them.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. People need that
People
as
turn
we
around and go, "Oh well, you're racist. Oh well, blah 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 blah."
we we
Like,
we all we
I'm
all we all need that
yeah,
escapism.
yeah. That's just it. Remember fun, guys.
Yeah, I
But that's
know.
that's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah. Because it's funny you say it. Did you see the Fablemans recently, that Spielberg film?
No.
I
Any
did.
good?
I loved it from start to finish because it's basically a fictionalized version of Spielberg. I don't know exactly how true the movie was to his like real autobiography, but it was just a great. If you're someone who loves film like we do, it's the perfect like movie
Yeah.
for to be inspired. It reminds you like why you want like and love all this stuff, like being artistic and why you like want to make movies.
Yeah.
And it shows
I
that
can
from his
imagine. Yeah.
and it shows up from his early age, from when he was a youth, that he was born to do this, because when he was a little boy going to the movies with his parents, he was just inspired to like, wow. Especially like in today's like modern world, compared to back then to the 50s, like kids are so addicted to the video games. Like Spielberg, he had the imagination after seeing the movie for inspiration.
Well, that's the thing is, like, I used to make films,
Right,
in high school, and
right,
they were crappy films. So
right. Well, it doesn't matter. You did it.
yeah,
That's
that's it.
another. That's
If you
another thing.
want to,
He made movies too. They weren't big budgets, but he did it somehow.
yeah, yeah, and that's the thing. If you're ever inspired to make movies, don't look to a big company to do those movies. To do those
Right.
movies with. Do them yourself.
Hey,
Um,
I'm living
me
proof of that to a
personally,
degree.
me personally, in terms of creativity, I'm writing my own personal horror. I'm writing a horror story of mine that I'm
So
publishing.
so am I,
And
and I hope it's made somehow to a movie or both.
yeah, I originally wanted it to be a movie. That's my point. So I
Right.
originally wanted it to be a movie, but I realized realistically, start small first, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Right.
And once that book is being finished published, it's called Dead Girl.
Right.
For those of you that's into like a Stephen King old school like revenge type horror film or horror story, in this case, it's going to be for you, and I hope you guys like it. But I'm in the process of publishing it. It's a pain in the butt for those of you who haven't done it. Just letting you know a little insight. It's a pain, but I'm accomplishing what I want to accomplish in life, and I think people shouldn't give up on themselves and
No,
just keep
not at
going.
all.
Don't worry about what other
Hey,
people say.
even my dad's friend who's made some movies that I helped him out with in his 60, and like he didn't make movies until like later in his life. He didn't do it like when he was in his 20s or 30s. It just especially like now in the age of social media, it's like, oh, I can post these on social media, and you never know
Right,
sometimes.
right.
I mean, nothing really crazy has happened, but it's still nice that it's like, hey, wow, I actually got credit for being a part of his films as something than nothing.
Exactly.
And the funny
Exactly.
part is, the the funny part, I never went to film school. I never went to boom operating school. I just learned as I went along.
Sometimes that's the best thing. And that's the thing
Yeah,
too, is don't put yourself on a clock. Don't with anything. Don't
right.
say, "Oh, I got to do X amount before I'm 35."
No,
You know,
the
no,
I was
there's
I
no
was telling
limit to accomplishing things within
I was
your
having
life.
I learned that deadlines. I mean, deadlines, yes, at a job are important, but deadlines in life overrated.
Yeah, yeah. Don't worry about those deadlines in life.
Yeah,
If you're working towards accomplishing, your goals, more power to you. And don't, and this is something that everyone has to deal with, myself included, everybody,
oh
don't
yeah,
worry about failure. If you
right.
fail, try
Learn
again.
from that.
Try
Yes,
again.
keep trying until one day there it goes.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. All right, John, do you want to talk about anything else? Is there anything
Actually, yeah,
else?
yes. In order to wrap things up, as I said, how we find villains interesting in movies these days, or even just in general. Did you see the movies X and Pearl?
No, you told me about that, but that is on my movie list. I will get around to
All
that.
right. Well, not again. The thing what really have drawn me to those movies with being horror is that I like how Ty West is taking different like histories of film eras and he's making
Right.
horror, like how X takes place in the 70s, exploitation movies, and Pearl was like takes place in 1918 during the early silent. It's like
Right.
you see a movie like that, and I'm like, oh wow, that's pretty. I mean, and again, both movies were good, but for some reason, if I had to choose which one I liked more, Pearl was more like again because Pearl was a crazy. Her character was like three dimensional. All she wanted to do was be a star, but yet she got ready for that. And
Right. Right.
Mia Goth, oh my God, that was a great performance I've seen thus far. But still, when you get a chance, watch both movies. You're gonna be like, wow. But who knows? You may like one or the other ever, but you don't have to watch any one in particular order. I saw,
I'll check them out. I'll check them out.
yeah,
What did I see recently? I had just watched horror film. It's escaping my
I
mind right now.
I saw Crimes of the Future with Cronenberg. That was a wacky one.
Yeah,
But
Cron. Well, that's the thing.
but he
David
still got
Cronenberg
it though. Cronenberg.
is one of those directors that just total shock fest.
Yes.
Usually very gory.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Well, besides that, he's the Kubrick of horror movies.
the Kubrick of horror films. Well, I don't know. He kind of has his own style.
Well, I mean, what I mean, like you have to like they're not just one-time watch. You watch them multiple times to understand what, like Videodrome. It took me a few viewings to understand that movie.
Yeah, well, that's like this film. I actually remember it now. That's like this film I watched pretty recently called Possession.
I
And for
heard
those,
about it.
for those of you who haven't seen it, it's on Shudder. If you have Shudder, the Shudder service, um, and it stars Sam Neill. It's one of Sam Neill's early movies before Jurassic Park, and it was
Right,
originally released in like '81, but it was banned, right?
right.
And it's basically about a deteriorating marriage, but it
Yes.
becomes something completely different. I won't give anything away for those of you who haven't seen it, but check it out. It's on Shudder. That's SHUDDR Shudder for those of you who
Right.
have. who have
Well,
Shudder
it's
or interested in Shudder. I'm not showing out. They don't pay me, you know, but I'm just telling you where to find it.
not sponsored.
Not
You know, I remember
sponsored by Shudder in any way.
I remember when I saw Possession, I was like, it maybe it shows like what happens like with people who go through like mental like breakups and divorces.
It's one of those movies,
Well, one
but
of the
it's
one
also
of
one of
those.
those movies, if you remember without giving too much spoilers away, it's one of the movies you think it's one type of movie, and then it hits you with a twist.
Right,
And it's, oh,
right,
okay,
right.
now we're in it. Okay. But, for if you're looking for a kind of mind fuck kind of movie, guys, for you, this is, if you're looking for that like weird, like, what the did I just watch type movie, this is for you. And it is a good movie. It's not one of those like just random shock movies, artsy fartsy. No, no. Sam Neill actually gives in a great performance.
Yeah,
Actually plays two roles, not to give too much away,
right.
but definitely check it out. John, is there anything you want to add?
I think we've summed up everything. This was as usual fun and what a great stress reliever and a little nice escapism.
I know, and for the people that have been waiting for this, guys, we're so sorry. We've just been having this technical
Yes.
issues for, I
Yeah.
think it's over almost been a year
I
since our
think
last
some
episode. So,
some
if you can
happened. We
forgive
really
us
yeah.
for
We just
for
had
being kind of late, for those of you who have followed us, if you're still kind of following us, or we thank you, because you're one of the reasons why we do this besides ourselves, to
yeah.
entertaining ourselves. So thank you very
And
much for sticking.
like I said, I need we all need distractions and escapism and hobbies in our life to make us feel better and good about ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
That's
Enjoy this
true.
stuff. Uh,
Yes,
but
yes.
anyways, I've been Wolfman Sam. This is my partner Johnny Buff Guns,
Johnny.
and we are the creatures of the night.
Creatures of the night.
Thank you for joining us.